Now that you've graduated the Fire Investigator Academy and watched a live burn take place, we're going to walk you through an actual post-burn fire investigation. Fire investigators are trained to work backwards, using the scientific method to fill in the story by examining the clues left behind. We'll follow Dan as he shows us how fire investigators approach a fire scene. He'll explain how they document initial observations and methodically remove debris, layer by layer, to uncover evidence and develop their hypothesis. As we enter this bedroom scene, Dan finds his first piece of evidence: a line of demarcation on the wood dresser, about 2 feet off the floor. It's horizontal and indicates that the heat came from the top down. He also notices some upholstery material on the right side of the chair that's not burned, with a clear line of demarcation.
We have some carpeting on the floor that has limited damage to it, and then we have heavy burning here.
As Dan reviews the state of the chair, he sees that most of the heat appears to have come from the left side. We're able to see increased levels of char as we go deeper into the room. Char visible on the floor's baseboard and areas near the window indicate high levels of heat transfer. Once we get to the far corner of the room, Dan sees that there is severe damage to only one side of the mattress. By the nightstand, we see a damaged electrical socket and a burned lamp with deformed bulbs, one of which is concave downward. There's a pattern on the side of the nightstand. The line of demarcation is lower in the front than in the back. This partial plume pattern indicates the direction of hot gas flow. The line is not uniform, which tells us the fire didn't come from the top down. The line is pointing directly to the pile of debris on the floor near the front of the nightstand.
So now with the furniture removed, we take a look at the floor, and starting at the doorway, you can see it's heavily charred, and then we have an area here where it's not burned very badly, and we see that we had some sort of furniture object there based on the protection outline.
Heavy char can be seen up until the area where the chair blocked the radiant heat. The carpeting burned through to the subfloor.
We have low burning by the walls, and it burns back to this area here.
The carpeting underneath the bed was protected from the radiant heat. Both nightstands also protected the walls. Some form of plastic, perhaps a waste container, is very hard and melted into the floor near the front of the nightstand. This could be the area of ignition. Most of the damage is reflected in an arc. It started in the corner and moved around the bed toward the doorway. The house was closed. No windows or doors were open to outside air. This means the fire could only consume oxygen pulled from the rest of the home through the bedroom door.
So our next move is we're going to try to pull up the carpet, scrape the floor a little bit, and see if we find any patterns in the subfloor itself.
Most of the subfloor does not have thermal damage, except for the area by the window, chair, and doorway where air was pulled in. The fire swept around the bed and toward the door, following the air current. A thermal pattern is discovered on the doorway, with damage increasing as we look higher up on the door. Opposite the doorway, there's heavy damage caused by hot gases. Now that Dan has collected all of his data from the fire scene, he'll analyze all of his evidence and develop several hypotheses. He will then test these hypotheses to determine the cause of the fire. Now Dan is going to take us through the room before the fire to show us the point of origin.
This is going to be our ignition room. Again, we have some oxygen sampling tubes, so we have temperatures that are being measured from 1 inch below the ceiling and then every foot down to the floor, so we can get the thermal gradient or the range of temperatures from the ceiling down. We also have pressure sensors, so we're looking at the differences in pressure. When we have a hot gas layer with expanding gases, we'd anticipate pressures higher here and lower down toward the floor. We have a chair here. The chair is by the doorway. As air gets exchanged with the rest of the structure, that'll be in the flow path for air coming in the doorway to come in to feed the fire. We move deeper into the room, basically toward the head of the bed, and we're having our ignition in this area. Basically, we have a small plastic waste container with some newspaper in it, and we'll ignite that with an electric match.
Now that you've seen the fire investigation process firsthand, you're going to go through your own fire lab investigation in the next section.